It was a rough weekend for the Big 12 Conference in college football, and one of the reasons for that was the Oklahoma State Cowboys losing 33-7 to South Alabama. That's right, 33-7 to South Alabama. What's going on in Stillwater? Is Mike Gundy on the hot seat? We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Couz's Corner, and we're going to bring on a special guest to talk about it, and we're going to do that right after this word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me pour you out this shot of top shelf college football content. On tap today, we're talking about the Oklahoma State Cowboys and what is going on in their program. Why are they not succeeding? What the heck is Mike Gundy thinking with this quarterback stuff and all that? We're going to talk about all that and a little bit more. And to help me pour out this shot of content, I got a special guest bartender today, and his name is Cody Stovall, and he is the host of Locked On Oklahoma State. Cody, how we doing, man?
Well, we're not doing great. We're not doing great. It would be much better to be a Mountaineer right now. So if you guys are taking transfers in the announcing department, please keep me in mind. Man, it was
I hear
rough.
you.
It was
I
rough.
hear you. I hear you. Yeah, we'll take fans. Hey, if you want to enter the fan transfer portal, we'll take all the fans we can get, man. Yeah, I know you guys didn't have a great weekend. The Big 12 didn't have a great weekend. To be honest with you, the Big 12 has not gotten off to a good start this year, and it's pretty much no chance to redeem ourselves unless we get to the postseason. But I don't want to talk about the Big 12 as a whole as much as I want to talk about your team and the team you cover, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Cody, man, first of all, before we get into that, everybody, don't forget, I want to give Cody a shout out too. Go find him on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. He's at All Day O State, one of the coolest Twitter handles out there. And Cody, just tell them a little bit about what you do there on Locked On Big 12 and where they can find your work.
Yeah, obviously, I like to spice it up occasionally on Twitter, have some banter back and forth. You can follow me, obviously, on the show, Locked On Oklahoma State. I do a daily segment, obviously, and then I go live on the weekends. Man, the truth of it is, growing up, I always hated that you'd have to sift through hours of OU content before you could get to anything O State. So, my entire life, I felt like Oklahoma State could have a bigger profile, could have a better platform. And I was fortunate enough to get in a position to help kind of expand that. But it's hard to expand when everything's kept in such a tight little bitty baby controlled box, man. It hasn't been an easy sled ride. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I mean, I have seen firsthand. First off, I apologize. I don't know why I said Locked On Big 12. I guess I had the Big 12 in my head from my intro. But yes, Locked On Oklahoma State. But nonetheless, I've seen firsthand how the Oklahoma fans, man, number one, there's a bajillion of them, number one.
Yeah.
Two, they're extremely active on social media, extremely active on YouTube. But you're right, Oklahoma State fans, there's enough of you guys out there too. The Oklahoma State fan base is bigger than what people think, number one.
100%.
And they are very passionate and they love their Cowboys, man. So it's cool that you did that to give Oklahoma State fans a voice and a place where they can come and find Cowboy content. So tell me, man.
You know how it is, brother. Whenever you start anything like this, right, it's all kind of, you hope it's going to work out, right? You hope it's going to kind of grow some traction, and you hope that you bring something to the table that people find useful and at least viable information. And yeah, man, it's been nice to see the fruits of the labor actually pay off, and I can't wait for what happens next. But it's hard to grow any brand if the product is atrocious. Like,
Yeah.
let's just face it, man. Nobody wants to tune in and watch the show, no matter how great the show is, if a team is 2-10. Like,
Yeah.
that's just not super appealing. So I'm also very well aware that the success of Oklahoma State kind of dictates some of the success of the show, which is
Right.
why we're in damage control, man. We're in crisis mode right now, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I can kind of vouch for that. I wouldn't say we're in crisis mode right now. I mean, we're just coming off a big win, so we've kind of got a reprieve from that. But for the last 4 years, it's not been great in Morgantown either. And I actually had this conversation with my friend and partner Mountaineer Paul, who has his channel as well called Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. But he and I have both talked about how he and I picked the worst possible time as West Virginia fans to start a YouTube channel because
Right.
we're having the worst 4-year stretch in our team's history in the last 40 years. So it's not necessarily the greatest time, but look, Mountaineer fans are passionate, just like Oklahoma State fans are. Win, lose, or draw, they love their team. So nonetheless, I mean, I've like you, man. I've had good support. I love my fans. I've got some that are extremely loyal to me, and hopefully, I'm doing them justice and repaying them by giving them good content. And one of the things I try to do is bring folks like yourself on because one thing I've noticed is our fan base likes to learn more about the other teams in the conference.
Yep.
And it's easier to do that if they can just tune into my show and learn about Oklahoma State. So that being said, what the heck happened on Saturday, man?
Well, here's a fun little bombshell that I was able to drop last night that I get to give this little nugget to your people, and that is Gunnar Gundy was supposed to start the game. Gunnar Gundy decided game day that he wasn't comfortable starting. So we had to put Alan Bowman in to be the starter, and we had to change the scripted plays to start the game. That's what happened. And then the second half, we didn't have an adjustment, obviously, because the scripted nature of how you typically put things together was no longer available.
Right.
And it got out of hand. But realistically, man, the biggest thing and the most frustrating thing is, Mike Gundy's idea this year has been, I'm going to rotate 73,000 guys, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 10 linebackers, 15 corners. And I think the idea was, if I play all these dudes, then why would people transfer, right? Why would you leave Oklahoma State if you got a significant amount of playing time? I get it, right? But I just like I said on my show last week, you're playing with fire. You're 100% playing with fire, and you're barely beating teams you should be beating by 25 points. So, like, if it does work out and you can somehow navigate this stretch and go through Iowa State 4-0 with rotating 70 dudes and 3 quarterbacks, you have a bye week, and K-State has nothing to prepare for, and you look like an absolute genius, right?
Yeah.
But if it goes the other way and you drop a disastrous game that you shouldn't, then you're going to look like a complete moron. And unfortunately, that's the situation that we're facing at the moment.
So let me get this right. A quarterback turned down an opportunity to start.
Yes, sir.
At a Power 5 school.
Correct. And then we rewarded him with almost 7 series while losing the whole game.
I don't even know how to respond to that. I mean, Deion Sanders got accused of nepotism.
Yeah.
Is this a case of nepotism, potentially?
Dude, unfortunately, I think it goes even a little bit deeper than that, right? That's the problem area here. And, as I kind of mentioned to you a little bit earlier, right? Your audience can chime in as well. Can anybody tell me how many Power 5 programs have had one coordinator stick around for 14, 15 years? I mean, yes, you would like to give the guy kudos and say he's loyal, he's true. That's a great thing. We need more of that in football, which I think that we do. But at the same time, if somebody's worth their salt, they're typically gone by now. And if they're not worth their salt, let's face it, guys, you have 14 years of working with the same dude. You probably know more about him than anybody else. You might even know some stuff about him that he would rather keep under wraps. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. In what country, what continent, and what college does the offensive coordinator get to dictate to the head coach what is and isn't going to happen? It doesn't happen, man. So why is it happening in Stillwater? It doesn't make sense. If you peel back the layers of the onion, it gets worse and you cry more.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Cody, the one good thing about me talking to you today is you make me feel better about West Virginia.
Dude, I'm glad I can be a beacon of hope. All right. And I do have to apologize to Near Nation. I bet heavy on y'all beating Penn State. Okay. And I let my pocketbook do my betting for me this last weekend, and I picked Pitt. I apologize. It's a mistake that I make in life that I'll try not to ever make again.
Did you just bet us to cover? You just
Yeah.
bet us to cover against Penn State, not to actually
Yeah.
win the game, I hope. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Whew. I was going to say, if you bet us to actually win that game, I'm going to have to question your sanity. But anyway.
I didn't, man, but now I'm kicking myself. I should have, right? You know, we got shown last week that a Big 12 team could take Pittsburgh behind a woodshed and teach them a thing or two. I shouldn't have doubted West Virginia, even though the Big 12's been pretty disastrous thus far.
Yeah. Well, like you and I were talking off air, and I don't want to get off topic too far, but I mean, I was at the game Saturday. I had a blast. Beating your arch rival is always a good thing. There's nothing bad about that. Okay. I don't give a crap if it was 3-2, 7-6, whatever. We won the game. Yes, we didn't throw the ball, but not 11 times. I get that. I get all that. But considering the circumstances we were under with losing our quarterback and a lot of the other things, we won the game, man. We live another week. Our coach lives another week. And right now we are 2-1 on the season, which is always a positive. So I want to take all that away, but there's also a lot of things in that game that concern me going forward. The team we're getting ready to play Saturday, the Red Raiders, are nothing like Pitt. Their quarterback is nowhere as bad as Phil Dracovic or Dracovic or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen, especially in person. But that being said, we won, and I'm not going to crap over on my boys for winning the game. But so we still have some issues in Morgantown is where I'm getting at that we're a little worried about. But we'll worry about that as we get closer to Saturday. Today, I want to focus on the Cowboys. I know Mike Gundy's, with all the success he's had there in Stillwater, I'm sure he has a pretty long leash. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, he has had a very long leash, but I can tell you the sentiment right before the season started. I would still say probably 65, 75% of the fan base was still in the department of Gundy can do no wrong. He's not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen. It's not even a conversation. I would say now that number is probably about 55%. You know what I mean? Like people are coming around to the idea that there is a bigger problem that we're not necessarily privy to all the time. Right. And it's causing all of this dissension inside the locker room. And you know good and daggone well at any level, peewee, high school, college, semi-pro, pro, okay? If you lose the faith of the players, the trust of the players, and you lose the locker room, the chances of you getting it back are pretty slim. Right. And it's week 3, bro. It's week 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got Big 12 schedule coming up. I mean, it's now it's down. Every game from here on out matters probably more than, even our game against Pitt, even though that's a rival game and it's probably the game that everybody circles, it had no conference implications attached to it. Now we're getting into conference play, right? So every game now, man, is super important.
And I tell you, man, I would appreciate it if you would stop taking all these digs at beating your rival. Okay, not fair. It's not fair what you're doing to me right now.
I'll bet Jason Watkins, if he's here listening to this, he's having a field day with that.
Oh yeah, bro.
Hey, but yeah, speaking of beating your rival, no, I'm not going to go there. But no, back to O State, man. I know you guys brought in a new defensive coordinator, Brian Nardo. Did I get the name right?
Yes.
He's running a new scheme. He brought the 3-3-5 defense over to Oak State, right? How has your guys' defense been? I mean, has your defense been playing okay, or is there still a lot of room for improvement there?
Well, there's obviously a lot of room for improvement, right? Some of the preseason or previous, All-Americans and Kendall Daniels and Colin Oliver, both of which are being asked to perform a little bit of a different role. So you knew it would take a little bit of time. And then defensively, again, we're rotating legitimately 7 corners, 5 linebackers. We're rotating 6 or 7 safeties on a regular basis. We're rotating like 9 defensive linemen. And again, yeah, it's great, man. it's great if it works. But when
Right.
you get too cutesy-tootsy with, I'm going to rotate everybody and nobody's going to transfer, it has the opposite of the desired effect. Whenever you're unable to capitalize on some of the things that you've offered people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I get that.
if you convince one of the highest rated running backs in Oklahoma State recruiting history to stay another year because it's going to be different, we're going to run a new offense, you know what I mean? We're going to do things differently and we're going to lean on you. And then you get the ball 3 times. What are we doing? If you tell a quarterback not to go to Baylor and instead you should leave Michigan and come to Oklahoma State because we're going to run a Michigan offense, and then you start throwing it all over the yard like it's back in Lubbock 2017 again, like I don't understand the method to the madness here. What does Mike Gundy think that he can gain or accomplish by giving false hope to people, right? Because last year, the locker room issues, they got out there, right? So they kind of had to not necessarily get ahead of it, but they had to do something about it. And so I was told all summer, brother, and I had to apologize to my audience. I drank all of the Kool-Aid. The clips were real, right? The videos were real. The sideline reports were real. The coaches' conversations and the conversations with the players, all of that was real. They were so pumped this summer, and they were so pumped this fall because we got to run a new offense, bro.
Right.
It's something different. And then we get in the games and we scrap all of it. Everything that we did for 3 months, we just threw it in the trash. And then the reason is we're not going to run that offense because we have a quarterback competition. So we got to throw it 7,000 times to figure out who the best quarterback is. We're a lot of colleges say things to people to get them there. I get that, right? That happens all over. But it's different when you say something to get them there, and then you get them there, and then you give them a little taste of what you can deliver, and then you scrap it. Right? The season's already started. Nobody can transfer. Nobody can do anything about it except for essentially being held hostage. And while you're being held hostage, the only dinner plate you get is you might get a lot of snaps. It might result in a lot of losses, but you'll get to play. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I'm going to pull up the stats real quick, Cody, from this. The stats for last weekend's game are a little bit, I mean, it looks.
Hey, go ahead, man. I'm a glutton for punishment. So
I didn't get a chance. I was in Morgantown, so I didn't get a chance to watch the game. So the stats is all I've had a chance and watch. Listening to you and some other people on podcasts and talk about the game. But I mean, look, they beat you guys in almost every category, man.
100%, every category. 3.3
yards per pass. I mean, that's
possibly think of, buddy.
Yeah, that's unreal, man. Y'all ran the ball you couldn't even get 100 yards rushing against South Alabama?
No. Guess how many yards we had at halftime rushing?
I don't even want to know. 50? I don't know. Tell me.
0, buddy. 0.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling, dude.
And we give our All-American everything
either.
back the ball only a couple times. Like, it's weird, man.
Right.
And the thing of it is, right, Tulane, here's the deal. I covered this on my show. South Alabama has 32 Power 5 Division I transfers. So they're not bad, right? We knew they had some dudes. But their own head coach, Kane Womack, came out and told the world how you beat us. And it's how Tulane beat them. Which Tulane came out and they just out-physicaled them from the very beginning. They punched them in the mouth repeatedly, and they side-chopped them in the throat while they were at it. And by the time USA could do anything about it, it was second half. It was too late, right? And so he told us how you beat us. Oklahoma State is bigger, stronger, faster, with more dudes, right? A bigger 2 deep, a bigger everything. And they beat us up like we were a high school squad, buddy. And the players looked like they knew it was going to happen.
Wow.
It's just, and typically, attitude is a reflection of what?
Yeah.
Attitude is a reflection of leadership. So if the players on the field are just walking around while the defense is running down the ball with a pick six type situation.
Yeah.
You can read body language, brother.
Yeah.
Like, enough to know that something ain't right here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I even experienced that. You could see the other night against Pitt, their quarterback's body language was terrible. Like he had just mentally checked out. He's mentally checked out. At least he was in that game.
Sometimes like a free safety will get burned, and typically he might be able to catch the guy, and then you just see him peel off at the 20-yard line. Like, what? You didn't even try, man.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? And to me, again, that's just same thing that happened last year. We were sold a bill of goods. The players, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to run the offense. Spencer Sanders is going to be more involved with some of the fourth quarter decision makings and yada, yada, yada. And then we get mid-game and we're like, never mind, scrap that. We're not going to do that. Sorry, Spencer. We're going to do this instead. And what did it do? It started to fracture the locker room.
Yeah.
And then we ended up reeling off losing 6 of our last 7.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Mike Gundy say after K-State beat us 48-0, which hasn't happened since, I don't know, like 1980 something? He said we got out-coached and outplayed. Okay, cool. The very next week, we lose to KU for the first time since 1994 in Lawrence, Kansas. And what does he say after that one? Same thing. We got out-coached. We got outplayed. He said it again after Bedlam. Mind you, the worst OU team we've seen in almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
And then he said it again after the bowl game, and then he says it again after South Alabama. So you tell me, Budrow, how can a Power 5 Division I football coach tell the media and the fan base that I failed in coaching 5 of 7 games, and then he has a press conference this morning, and what does he say? Everything's fine. We're good.
Yeah,
the quarterbacks played good. We had more tackles this time than last time, so things are fine. People need to calm down. No, bro.
7 points.
No, bro. We don't need to calm down. We need you to wake up one time and put on your big boy panties out of your old lady's purse and say, you know what? I'm a man. I'm over 50 now. I'm going to make a decision. Somebody needs to be fired. Somebody. Even if it's somebody in the equipment room, dag nabbit, you need to do something to somebody to show the fan base you're still engaged, you still get it, and you still give a crap. But we're not seeing it, man.
Yeah, fans aren't stupid, and and all coaches do this to a degree. They feed you all this coach speak garbage, like we're a bunch of morons and don't know what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Number one, I have 2 eyes, okay, and I can see, and I watch every game, and I'm not I know a little bit about football. I'm no coach, but I do know a little bit about it. And some of it is just flat out common sense. You know what I mean?
100%, dude. When you're trying to get sold ice when you're not an Eskimo.
Yep. Exactly. And when you see other teams around the country doing things differently and being willing to make changes and being willing to make the hard decisions, and then all of a sudden they start winning, but all of a sudden, but your team won't. And I'm not speaking just Oklahoma State. This obviously West Virginia's been through it. A lot of teams have been through it. But yeah, they want to keep. It's the definition of insanity. I think that was even the title of your last video.
Yeah,
you want to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, and that's not how life works.
And you can't pull the wool over everybody's eyes forever.
No.
And you see it all the time, man. And it doesn't really matter if it's business, if it's sports, if it's politics. Eventually, the dirty stuff in the back room, it comes out. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it might take years. It might take a memoir. It might take a tell-all documentary. But eventually, every little thing does, in fact, come out. So, again, why do certain places feel the need to continuously control everything? Like you're not doing your fan base a very good service.
Right. When I see those rushing numbers, the first thing I want to ask is, of course, I didn't see the number of carries for running backs and all this. And I know you said that the star running back didn't get enough carries, but is the offensive line not playing up to par either? What's going on with the offensive line?
It's terrible. It's bad, man. It's the first time we've had like a legit like 3 deep, right? That's not
Mm-hmm.
some crazy freshman that's 100 pounds undersized.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not doing much with it. But, right, if I can play devil's advocate, I've been a huge proponent of our O-line coach, Charlie Dickey, not having a job, right? He shouldn't have had a job last year. He was great in Manhattan, but that's because what did they do in Manhattan? They ran the ball 98% of the flipping time, right? So what did he get to? He went to get corn-fed dudes in the middle of Iowa, Nebraska, Idaho, Wyoming. You know what I mean? That not everybody wanted. And he made life simple. All I need you to do is be a nasty dude, grab that guy, and drive his face into the ground. If you do that, we got this fella named Colin Klein that'll do the rest. Right? We've got running backs that'll help you out.
Right.
Right? And so we bring Dickey in, and then all of a sudden we're like, hey, bro, we know you're one of the best in the game of football at Run Pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have you teach 75% pass pro all of a sudden and expect it to work out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's terrible, but if they spent 3 months of grabbing people and throwing their face into the dirt, and then all of a sudden we're going to pass 90 times, like, I don't understand how people think that you can have a lot of continuity there.
Yeah. So they literally, changed the offense from what they actually were working on in fall camp. Is that what? Am I hearing that right?
100%, yes. Yep, dude. Well, there was
Cody. I don't know that I've ever heard of that ever happening. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but why? I mean, I can't think of any logical explanation as to why a team would do that. Unless you were so bad in fall camp that you knew you couldn't win. But why did you wait till game started to change it? Why didn't you change it 2 weeks ago? I mean, I'm befuddled by that, man.
Well, welcome to being an Oklahoma State Cowboy fan at the moment, buddy. It's like our entire existence for the last year and a half now has been, can we figure out for the first time in history to put a square peg in a round hole? And we just keep grinding that daggone thing, hoping it fits. And it's not fitting. And what's more infuriating is there's zero accountability. Dude, we rushed for 2.9 yards a carry last year. Did anybody get fired? Nope. We had one of the worst offenses in the history of Mike Gundy's tenure at Oklahoma State. Did anybody get fired? No. We had 2 of the worst losses in Mike Gundy's tenure. Nobody got fired. Nobody got reprimanded. More than that, we're getting told that because everything's changing, we all need to embrace the new look. And to be honest with you, like, I was behind it, right? Because I'm like, okay, we're going to take an O-line coach that knows how to run the ball, and we're going to start running the ball. This could work out. We're going to take a tight end coach that's never had a real tight end, and we're going to give him 2 legitimate tight ends that have played tight end. This might work out. Right. And then we have a real fullback for the first time in a decade. This might work out. And then, goodness gracious, buddy, we're seeing clips out of spring and fall of all 3 of our quarterbacks under center. You know, kind of a diamond, power, I, H-back, offset formation. And then we're not running it. And the only justification is we need to run the old school offense, the old school, like, you know, air it out, Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State offense, because of the quarterback competition. That's and to my knowledge, the idea was, in a perfect scenario, to continue this crap fest all the way to or through Iowa State. And then Kansas State was going to get hit with a dose of a bunch of power stuff they couldn't prepare for. But now that plan's kind of out the window because we just lost to South Alabama. So whatever you had planned for Ames, Iowa,
you better change it.
You've got to try to win now because
the
whole country gets to watch the pillow fight of the weekend this Saturday.
Which I just saw as I was looking at ESPN. Iowa State's actually favored in that game,
as they should be.
Their defense is still legit,
lost
man.
To Ohio.
They did, but their defense is still. Their offense is probably terrible again, but their defense is still legit.
Right.
So, yeah,
and we don't have an offense.
I was going to say Oklahoma State better find an identity before they go into that game, or they may get run out of Ames.
100%, buddy.
Like West Virginia did last year. We got run out of there last year. because our offense was terrible.
Well,
You know?
and me and you have talked before about scheduling, right? Oklahoma State had the easiest schedule in the country. Maybe not the country, but at least the Big 12.
Mhm.
I mean, there's only a handful of times in my entire lifetime that we've had 7 home games. 7 home games. And all 6 of the 7 are against teams ranked below you. Like it doesn't make sense. And then you get Bedlam at home, you get K-State at home, you get KU at home. And then we end the season, warm weather at Houston, warm weather at Central Florida, and then BYU's got to come to Stillwater. This is the best scheduling gift Mike Gundy has ever received as a player or a coach. And we literally officially just pooped it down the drain.
Well, I see what you're saying there, but don't listen. Like we know, talking conference schedule hasn't started yet.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give you the glass half full scenario. Okay, Cody.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to keep you from hurting yourself and getting having to go to the ER or whatever. Here.
Right.
I'm going to bring you back down and calm you down a little bit.
All right.
If you win Iowa State, if you beat Iowa State, you're back in the win column. You're 3-1. You're 1-0 in the conference. If they can get if they can actually pick a quarterback, stick with that guy, start playing the type of football that they were planning to play in the fall, and are okay at it, maybe things will be okay.
Yeah.
There's still time to turn this ship around, brother.
I know it.
But I understand where you come. Hey, if we had lost to who did we play 2 weeks ago? Duquesne 2 weeks ago. Heck, if we'd lost to Pitt this past weekend, we would be feeling the same way you are. So I get it. I get it as a fan. If we lose to Texas Tech Saturday, I'll be where you are. So
I mean, it's not the loss, man. I mean, as well as anybody in this fun, crazy landscape of college football, losses are going to happen, right? So I'm okay with losing. And realistically speaking, South Alabama's good enough with enough D1 talent to beat us. And you know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, I can live with it. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's how terrible we looked, and we still rotated 70 dudes while looking that terrible. And then the coaches afterwards say, sorry, we just got out coached and outplayed. No big deal.
I get it, man. I totally get it. Well, Cody, look, man, I feel for you. I hope you guys can turn around. I'm going to have to jump off of here. I've got a family situation.
No problem.
I want real quick before I go one more time, where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, at All Day O State on Twitter, obviously, and then the daily Locked On Oklahoma State. We can still turn it around. I get it, but the bus is going downhill with very sketchy breaks, so we ain't got a lot of time to finagle it.
Gotcha. All right, brother. Well, listen, thank you for hopping on here, man.
Anytime.
Everybody go check Cody out. Go subscribe to his channel over at Locked On Oklahoma State. Go see him on X, on Twitter, at All Day O State. Thank you guys for watching the show today. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.